What happens when a pizza delivery guy quietly tells you not to eat the food you just ordered from your own restaurant? Shane Dillard had inherited the pizza chain from his father 5 years ago. 13 stores, all across the state. His dad had built it from a single corner shop into something real, but ever since Shane took over, he felt like he was just keeping the engine running. Numbers looked fine, reports came in on time, but something was off. Reviews started dipping. A couple of complaints here and there. One location, in particular Store 7 in Fremont, had a steady drop in customer satisfaction, yet the district manager kept saying everything was under control. Shane had never met the staff at Fremont. Like most of the stores, it was run by people who'd been hired long after his dad stepped away. With the chain spread across multiple cities, it wasn't strange for employees to have no clue what he looked like. Plus, Shane had ditched his usual look: no tailored suits, no expensive watch, and he'd grown a beard for this. He decided not to go in as an employee this time. He wanted to see the service from the outside. So, he created a fake online ordering account and placed a large order to a short-term rental a few blocks from the Fremont store. Figured he'd go see how they handled a standard delivery. When the delivery arrived, it was late by almost half an hour. Shane opened the door and saw a young guy, maybe early 20s, wearing a faded cap and a thin jacket even though it was freezing. "Sorry, man," the kid said, handing over the pizza box. "Took longer, 'cause I had to remake this thing myself." Shane blinked. "Remake it?" The kid lowered his voice. "Look, I know this is weird, but you probably don't want to eat this." Shane's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" The kid looked around, then stepped a little closer. "I'm not supposed to say anything. I'll probably get fired if this gets out, but the first one they made, it wasn't right. I watched the guy drop the toppings on the floor and just scoop them back on, like straight up. I tried to stop him, but he told me to shut up." Shane's hands tightened around the box. "And the manager let that happen?" "He was right there." The delivery kid looked tired, like he hadn't slept properly in days. "Didn't say a word. Just told me to mind my own zone. So I waited until they got distracted and made a new one myself." Shane stared at him, trying to process it. "What's your name?" "Ellie." "You do this often? Remake food because someone else messes up?" Eli scratched the back of his neck. "Only when it's bad enough. I can't let people get sick, man. I don't care if they fire me." Shane nodded slowly. "I appreciate you telling me." Eli gave a half smile. "Just don't say it came from me." After Eli left, Shane didn't even open the box. He sat down, heart racing. This wasn't just lazy service. This was a serious health issue. And the manager let it happen? He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he walked into Store 7 wearing a faded blue hoodie, jeans, and a ball cap low over his face. He introduced himself as Sean, a new hire sent over by the district office to cover shifts while they were short on hands. It wasn't a lie. Store 7 had been requesting backup due to staffing issues. The manager on duty, a sharp-faced guy named Trent, barely looked up from his phone. "You got kitchen experience?" "A little," Shane said. "Whatever. You're on prep. Don't touch the register. Don't talk to customers. Just do what Jen tells you." Staffing issue made sense now. 2 people in the kitchen. 1 on the register. Trent spent most of his time in the office. The place was chaos. Orders were backed up. Tickets piling. Shane saw food being sent out undercooked. No hand washing. No timers. He watched a cook drop a pizza on the floor, curse, then shove it right into a box. Shane stepped forward. "Hey man, you sure you want to send that out?" The cook, a heavy-set guy with a shaved head, turned. "You knew?" "Yeah, just don't wanna." "Then shut up. You're here to chop peppers, not play food police." Shane's fists clenched. He glanced toward the office window. Trent was still on his phone. Eli walked in 10 minutes later, grabbing his delivery slips. He caught Shane's eye, gave a tiny nod, clearly recognized him, but said nothing. Shane followed him into the back for a second. "Don't worry," Eli whispered. "I covered for you." Shane nodded. "Thanks. You always this careful?" "I try. Not like anyone here cares." That stuck. Not like anyone here cares. Shane spent the rest of the day watching, listening. A girl named Rosa was working double shifts, quiet but efficient. Another guy, Jay, was clearly overworked but tried to keep things clean. But everyone looked tired. Morale was gone. People were surviving, not working. That night, Shane stood in the walk-in fridge, staring at the cracked shelves, the expired sauce containers, and the broken fan buzzing overhead. He'd inherited this place. But what had he let it become? The morning rush started slow, but by mid-morning, the kitchen tension was already simmering. Shane kept his head down, chopping mushrooms in silence. The prep table was sticky. The cutting board stained. Nobody had cleaned it between shifts. He kept his gloves on, didn't say a word. Rosa came in 20 minutes after open, eyes red-rimmed and shoulders hunched. She didn't complain, didn't greet anyone either. Just slipped on her apron and tied her hair back. Shane noticed her knuckles were bruised small, purple spots like she'd banged them against something repeatedly. "Those new?" he asked quietly. She glanced down, then away. "Doesn't matter." Jay was already manning the oven, pulling pies out with one arm while checking tickets with the other. He had a hitch in his step today, limping slightly. Shane watched him shift his weight every few minutes like he was trying not to aggravate something. "You all right?" Shane asked when they crossed paths. Jay winced. "Tweaked my ankle on Sunday. Slipped when the mop bucket tipped. Didn't have time to ice it. Did you tell anyone?" "Trent said I could sit down once I finished the Friday prep list." He let out a dry laugh. "That was yesterday." Shane didn't respond. He couldn't. Instead, he looked around the store. The freezer door latch was broken. Duct tape held it closed. The soda machine in the dining area leaked syrup. The back hallway smelled like damp cardboard. Everything that could be ignored had been. At noon, a woman came in with her daughter. The girl was maybe 7. Shane saw them through the kitchen window, standing patiently at the counter. The cashier, a teenager named Lexi, barely looked up from her phone. She mumbled something, then waved toward the menu overhead. The woman asked a question. Lexi didn't answer, just turned, shouted the order toward the kitchen without checking if it was right. Jay leaned over the pass. "Is that a half veggie, half pepperoni?" "Yeah," Lexi called back. "You sure?" She said no meat. Lexi rolled her eyes. "It's fine." Shane moved toward the oven, heart thudding. The pizza had already gone in. It came out 7 minutes later, steaming, bubbling, and completely wrong. He stepped up beside Jay. "You tossing that one?" Jay glanced at the ticket. "Should." Lexi turned, annoyed. "Why?" "It's close enough." Shane spoke calmly. "You can't give meat to someone who didn't order it. Especially not a kid." "I'm not remaking it." Lexi crossed her arms. "I'm not the one cooking. You're the one who got the order wrong." She scoffed. "Whatever. It's just pizza." Shane walked past her, straight to the dining area. The woman and her daughter were sitting at a table, sipping sodas. He approached quietly. "Ma'am, I'm sorry," he said. "There was a mistake. We're remaking your order now. It'll just be a few minutes." Her brow furrowed. "What happened?" "The pizza came out wrong. It had meat on it. I didn't want you to get it without knowing." She let out a slow breath. "Thank you for telling me." Shane nodded and returned to the kitchen. As he passed Lexi, she muttered, "Snitch." He stopped cold, turned to face her. "What did you just say?" She looked up, chewing gum slowly. "I said you're new here. Maybe don't try so hard." "Go home," Shane said. Her gum froze mid-chew. "What? You're done for the day. Clock out." "You can't tell me that." I can. He locked eyes with her. Clock out.
Now.
Lexi looked toward Trent's office. The blinds were closed. No help coming. She slammed her headset down and stormed out. No one stopped her. Shane turned back to Jay. I'll run the register. You stay on the oven. Jay blinked. Seriously? You can't stand for 8 hours with a sprained ankle. I've got it. Service picked up. Shane handled customers, relayed orders, and kept an eye on prep. Rosa moved faster now that the kitchen wasn't clogged with noise. Eli came in for his shift around 3. He looked surprised to see Shane behind the counter. You're everywhere, huh? Shane handed him a ticket. Just filling gaps. Eli leaned in slightly. You okay? Shane nodded.
Yeah.
Just saw too much to stay quiet. Eli looked away, then back. You gonna do something about Trent? I'm not finished yet. Eli hesitated. He's not just lazy. He's mean. Like, if you're even a minute late, he docks your hours. But he disappears for smoke breaks every hour. Shane didn't respond. Instead, he took the next call in order and passed it back to Rosa, who was wiping down the prep table for the first time all day. It was the little things. When people felt safe, they started to care again. By 5, Trent finally emerged. He looked around, confused. Why are you on register? Shane shrugged. Lexi left early. Jay needed to stay off his ankle. Trent frowned. Did I say that was okay? You weren't out here. I don't need to babysit. People do what I tell them. You didn't tell anyone anything today. Trent stepped closer. Watch your tone.
No, Shane said.
You watch your store. Trent narrowed his eyes. Who exactly do you think you are? Shane didn't answer. He just turned and walked into the back office. He closed the door behind him and opened the filing cabinet. District manager reports. Shift logs. Complaints. He flipped through the folders quickly, scanning for anything recent. One form stood out. A health inspection note from 2 weeks ago. Minor infractions. Nothing serious. But Shane recognized the inspector's name, his wife's cousin. He wasn't supposed to be assigned to stores in this district. He pulled out his phone and snapped a photo. Outside, Trent was still pacing the kitchen. Shane rejoined the line just in time for the dinner wave. A man came in, red in the face, holding a takeout box. This is raw, he shouted. Jay stepped back.
Rosa froze.
Trent walked over and took the box. Looks fine to me. It's doughy in the middle. Look at it. Trent shrugged. You can microwave it. Shane stepped in. We'll remake it.
No charge.
I don't want another one, the customer said. I want a refund. Trent folded his arms. We don't do that. You want me to call the health department? Trent laughed. Be my guest. Shane reached into the till, counted out bills, and handed them over. Trent stared at him. You don't make those calls. I just did. The customer left. The store went quiet.
Trent leaned in.
You're done here. No, Shane said. You are. Trent barked a laugh. Really? Shane pulled off his cap. My name's Shane Dillard. I own this chain. Silence. Rosa dropped her knife. Jay's mouth opened, then closed. Eli, mid-delivery prep, froze completely. Trent stepped back. You're lying. I'm not. Shane turned to Eli. He's not lying. Shane looked at Trent. I've seen enough. You're terminated, effective immediately. I'll have security escort you out if needed. Trent's jaw clenched. This is a mistake.
No.
Letting you run this store was the mistake. Trent stormed into the back, slammed the office door, and re-emerged with his things. No one said a word as he walked out. Shane turned back to the crew. You're not crazy. You've been working under someone who didn't care. That changes today. They all stared at him, still processing. I'm not here to micromanage, he said. But I'm not leaving until this store is back on its feet. And none of you are doing it alone. Rosa cleared her throat. So, what happens now? Shane looked around the kitchen.
Now?
We clean. We retrain. And tomorrow morning, we start rebuilding this place from the ground up. Jay nodded slowly. Rosa gave a short, stunned laugh. Eli just smiled faintly and went back to packing his order. Shane grabbed a rag and started wiping the prep counter. Not as an owner, just as a teammate. The next morning, Shane arrived 2 hours before open. The sun hadn't cleared the rooftops yet, and the parking lot was still quiet. He unlocked the back door himself. No one else was scheduled until 6:30, but he needed time to think. He stood in the middle of the kitchen, staring at the prep counters under the soft buzz of the overhead lights. It wasn't just the grime or the broken equipment. It was the weight of what he'd allowed to happen. The store hadn't fallen apart overnight. It had decayed slowly, quietly under layers of neglect and silence. He trusted the wrong people and stayed too far away for too long. He grabbed a mop and started with the walk-in. The fan was louder than he remembered from the day before, and the frost buildup on the back wall had spread. He noted it down on a clipboard. Everything that needed fixing, replacing, or reporting. No more assuming someone else would handle it. By the time Rose arrived, Shane had already finished wiping down the dry stock shelves and removed 2 expired cases of sauce packets. She paused at the back entrance when she saw him holding a wrench under the leaking sink. "You're really here early. I figured it was time I got my hands dirty too." She set her bag down and washed up. "You're not going to vanish after the weekend, are you?"
No.
"Not until things are right." Rosa nodded once, then silently started pulling fresh dough from the walk-in. She moved differently today. Still quiet, still guarded, but more deliberate. Like she was testing the space to see if it would hold. Jay limped in next, a compression wrap around his ankle and a slight frown on his face. He looked around, then at Rosa, then at Shane. "You open already?"
Just cleaning, Shane said.
"You on light duty today?" "I mean it." Jay raised an eyebrow. "You sure? You'll be on quality check and call-outs. Nothing that puts weight on your foot." Jay didn't argue. He dropped his backpack by the prep table and pulled on gloves. By 7, Eli rolled in, half a breakfast sandwich in hand. He gave a nod toward Shane, then walked over to the dispatch terminal. "You know the printer's been jammed for like a week?" he asked as he tapped the screen. "I've been handwriting addresses." "Not anymore," Shane said, lifting the cover and sliding in a new roll. "Should have been fixed days ago." Eli gave a low whistle. "Guess things really are changing." They were.
Slowly.
The first customer of the day walked in at 10 minutes after open. Rosa took the order while Shane watched from behind the prep line.
She didn't rush.
Didn't look over her shoulder. She confirmed the toppings twice. Wrote it clearly. Passed it to Shane, who read it back to her before placing it in the oven. By mid-morning, the rhythm had started to return. Shane took a quick break to call the regional facilities guy and request a full appliance check for the next morning. He didn't bother asking for permission. He gave a direct order and scheduled it himself. At noon, the real test came. A group of 3 teenagers walked in. Loud, impatient, one of them filming on his phone. Shane had seen their type before, trying to catch a gotcha moment for social media. Eli noticed too. He leaned close to Shane. "That's the kid who threw a drink at Lexi last week." "She didn't report it." "Why not?" "Trent said she probably provoked it." Shane's jaw tightened. He stepped onto the floor. One of the boys leaned across the counter. "You guys mess up my order again, I'm gonna dump it on your floor right here." Shane stepped forward, voice steady. "We're happy to take your order. But if you threaten my staff again, you'll be asked to leave." The kid blinked. "Who are you?" "Owner." The smirk dropped. The phone came down. The kid's friend nudged him. "Let's just go to Subway." They left without ordering. Shane turned back to Rosa. She didn't say anything, but she didn't look away either. By 2, the early rush was over. Jay was rearranging the backup cooler inventory, seated on a stool with a clipboard in hand. Rosa was teaching Eli how to fold boxes faster using a two-tuck method she learned at her last job. Shane sat in the back office, reviewing the employee files he'd requested from corporate. He'd promised change, but he needed to understand what kind of support these workers had received. The answer was worse than he expected. No performance reviews in over a year. No training logs. No formal complaints filed despite everything that had clearly gone wrong. Shane picked up the phone. I need HR to review Store 7's records immediately. Look for any patterns or missing documentation, and flag every training module that was skipped. He hung up and walked back onto the floor. Rosa was wiping down the prep table. Jay was labeling saucepans. Eli was folding boxes, now faster than before. Shane cleared his throat. This crew isn't the problem, he said. You've been holding this place together without any support. That ends today. Jay looked up. You bringing in new hires? Already started the process. I've approved overtime until we get extra hands. No more double shifts unless you volunteer. Rosa leaned against the counter. And what about Lexi? She's not in trouble. She needed boundaries. But she's getting a second chance. She'll be back tomorrow. I'll be here too. Eli folded another box. What about Trent? Terminated. And under investigation. That got a small nod from Jay. Shane pulled a clipboard from under his arm and laid it on the counter. This is the new repair list. Anything that's broken, log it. I'll personally sign off on the fixes. Rosa glanced at the top line. You're handling repairs yourself? Not all of them, but I'll make sure they get done. By 4, the second wave began. A woman in scrubs came in, looking exhausted. Rosa took her order with patience, offered her a seat while she waited. Jay double-checked the toppings before it went in the oven. Eli brought her the pizza himself, with napkins and extra sauce on the side. She smiled for the first time all day. Shane stepped outside for air and caught sight of the cracked exterior sign, half the bulbs burned out. He made a note, then dialed maintenance. Fremont's sign needs a full replacement, not a patch. I'll authorize the budget. He hung up and turned to go back in. A man in a long coat was standing by the trash bins, watching the store. You Dillard? Shane stopped. Who's asking? I'm from the health department, the man said, holding up a badge. Got a call about false inspection records.
Come in.
I've got the paperwork. They stepped into the back office. Shane handed over the inspection printout with a forged signature. The investigator scanned it carefully. This inspector was reassigned 6 months ago. He shouldn't have been anywhere near this store. I thought so. You know who submitted it? Shane nodded.
Trent.
Manager until yesterday. The inspector sighed. We'll be doing a full audit. I'll cooperate fully. The investigator looked through the window at the busy kitchen. Looks like you're already cleaning house. I should have done it a long time ago. The man nodded once and left. Shane walked back onto the floor. Rosa gave him a questioning glance.
Health department, he said.
They'll be back. Jay didn't look alarmed, just tired. We pass. Not yet. But we will. They kept working until close.
No scouting. No chaos.
Just people doing their jobs. After the last customer left, Shane gathered everyone by the prep station. I'm not asking you to fix everything overnight, he said. But I am asking for one thing: honesty.
If something's wrong, say it.
If we need help, we ask. No more silence.
Rosa nodded slowly.
Jay leaned on his stool. Eli crossed his arms, thinking, You're really sticking around? I am. And by the end of this week, this store won't look anything like it did before. Rosa looked around the room. Good. It's about time. By Thursday morning, the Fremont store felt different but not fixed. The grime had thinned, the noise softened, but tension still lingered in the corners. Jay's limp was less pronounced, but He still favored his left side. Rosa worked with more certainty, but she barely spoke unless spoken to. Eli kept his head down, showing up early, staying late, but rarely making eye contact with anyone but Shane. Everyone functioned, but no one was relaxed yet. Shane knew better than to expect healing in 4 days. He hadn't come to perform a miracle. He'd come to expose the rot and start cleaning it out, layer by layer. That morning, Lexi returned for her first shift since being sent home. She walked in stiff-backed, her hair pulled tighter than before, and her sleeves pushed up like armor. She didn't look at anyone until Rosa nodded once at her, without smiling. That seemed to be enough. Shane noticed her hesitate before clocking in. "You all right?" he asked quietly. She kept her eyes on the screen. "Didn't think I'd still be on the schedule."
I meant what I said.
"Second chance." She shrugged. "Not used to getting one." "Then let's make it count." She didn't respond, but she didn't leave either. By noon, the store was steady. Not smooth, nothing was smooth yet, but steady. Orders came in, went out. Rosa trained a new hire named Marcus on toppings. Jay stayed off the line, managing supplies and assisting Lexi when the screen got backed up. Eli had begun organizing the delivery bags by zone to reduce confusion. Just after 2, Shane was checking the freezer compressor when his phone buzzed. It was a message from corporate operations. Attached was a formal HR report. He stepped into the back office to read it. The summary was blunt. Trent had falsified time cards for over 6 months, docked hours from at least 4 employees without documentation, and had signed off on a forged health inspection using a reassigned inspector's name. Lexi had filed a retroactive complaint about verbal abuse and wage manipulation. Rosa and Jay had both been underpaid for overtime shifts. Eli's evaluations had been discarded without review. At the bottom of the report was a final recommendation: site-wide compliance audit, mandatory retraining, and a full leadership replacement plan. Shane signed off immediately, then dialed the regional office. "I want a compliance officer stationed here for the next 60 days, he said. "No remote check-ins. In-person reviews. Weekly." The voice on the other end sounded hesitant. "That's a high-intensity deployment."
"I'm aware."
"I'm not asking." He hung up and returned to the floor. Lexi was filling drinks. Jay was reloading saucepans. Rosa was folding boxes beside Marcus, correcting his folds gently, without judgment. Shane caught Rosa's eye. "Can I talk to you a second?" She gave Marcus the tape gun and followed him into the back. "I just signed off on the HR report," he said. "Everything's confirmed." She crossed her arms, not defensive, just tired. "And you were underpaid for 17 hours last month and another 12 earlier in the year. We're issuing back pay to your next check." She blinked. "That's it."
"No."
"There's more. You're being offered a lead trainer position for new hires. Paid hourly bump. Optional only if you want it." She didn't answer right away. "Why me?" "Because you've been doing it already." Quietly. Patiently. Without being asked. She looked at the wall, then back at him. "You gonna disappear again?" "No," she nodded once.
"Fine."
"I'll take it. But if corporate screws it up, I'm walking." "Fair." He stepped out and let her return to the floor. By 5, the Thursday dinner rush began. Eli was out on delivery when a man in a navy blazer walked in with a clipboard and a badge clipped to his collar. Shane met him at the counter. "Here for the audit?"
Shane asked.
The man nodded. "Name's Carter. Compliance officer. I was told to report directly to you." Shane waved him back. "Let's walk." He led Carter through the kitchen, pointing out repairs already made. New prep station seal, replaced cooler latch, fixed sanitizer dispenser. Carter took notes, asked for receipts, and checked temperature logs. Food safety logs were missing for 2 months, he said. They're being rebuilt retroactively. Rosa's handling that. She trained in documentation?
She is now.
I'm giving her formal certification next week. Carter didn't question it, just wrote it down. They returned to the front just as Lexi finished handling a frustrated customer who'd received the wrong size pizza. "I'm really sorry about that," she said, her tone calm but firm. "We'll remake it immediately."
No charge.
The man grumbled, but accepted the apology and sat down. Shane leaned over to Carter. 3 days ago, she would have walked away from that. Carter didn't smile, just nodded. At closing, Shane gathered the entire team. No speeches, no applause, just a quiet huddle behind the prep counter. "I'm stepping back starting tomorrow," he said. "Not leaving. Just stepping back." Lexi looked up sharply. "Already? I've got to check the other stores. Fremont isn't the only one that needs repair." Jay raised a hand slightly. "So what happens here?" "You'll have support. Carter's here for 2 months. Rosa's lead on training. A new general manager starts Monday, someone I trust. Until then, Marcus is shadowing, and I'll still be checking in daily." Rosa crossed her arms. "You trust this manager?" "I worked with her 10 years ago. She doesn't tolerate shortcuts. Or excuses." Eli leaned against the counter. "What's her name?" "Denise Brecker." His eyebrows rose. "I've heard of her. She ran Eastlake, right?" Shane nodded. "Turned it around in half a year." Jay let out a slow breath. "Sounds like we'll be all right." "You will," Shane said. "But not because of her. Because of you. You've already done the hardest part." They stood in silence for a moment. No one moved. Eventually, Rosa broke it. "You leaving now?" "Not yet. I'm doing dishes." She handed him a towel without a word. At 9:30, the lights dimmed. Floors mopped. Sinks drained. The store was cleaner than it had been in months. As Shane turned off the kitchen light, Eli caught him by the door. "You know," he said, "when I told you not to eat that pizza, I figured I'd get fired." "You almost did," Shane said. "But not by me."
Ellie nodded.
"Still weird that you ordered your own food." "I wasn't expecting to be warned by the guy saving my business." "You weren't expecting to see it either." "No," Shane said. "But I'm glad I did." They stepped outside into the cool night air. The front signs still flickered. "The new one's coming Tuesday," Shane said. Eli looked up. "Maybe don't make it too bright." "Why?" "Kinda like the way this one buzzes." Shane laughed quietly. "Noted." He locked the door behind them. As they walked to their cars, no one said goodbye. No need. The silence wasn't about distance anymore. It was about trust. Something earned, not promised. Something real.